All right, so it's October 20th, 2022. I'm listening to New Talk for New York 103.9
It's amazing how many
WFAS-FM.
people in the political realm, which the public health bureaucracy is now, who don't understand how much they can F around until they find out. It really is. Like you would think, right, Jim? A public health bureaucracy that has lied to us about everything, whose reputations are worse than the three-card Monty guy at Times Square from the 80s. You would think they'd be like, listen, we effed around a lot, and we found out at a 7, so it's time to stop effing around so we don't find out. They're like, no, let's up it to 10 and make the kids take the vaccine. These are the same people who told you masks stop the spread of COVID. We definitely need to lock down the economy. It's good for all of us. Same public health people told us school closures were a great idea. These are the same people who had kids playing the clarinet and plastic bubbles from each other. These are the same people who are arresting people on the beach in California for surfing by themselves on the water, where you had a greater threat from a shark attack than COVID. These are the same people who told you the vaccine stops transmission of the virus. See, they've effed around at an 8 and a 9. And when you draw the gradient line, like Robert says, and you strike it down to the find out line, they found out at a level 9 with a political rebellion in the New Jersey and Virginia elections with Youngkin and the state Senate president of New Jersey getting wiped out. Now, you would think if you referred to Robert's chart and we effed around at a 9 and found out at a 9, then we would look to dial the effing around down to like a 2 or a 1 so we don't have to find out at a level 5 and can stick to a level 1 or 2 on the find out. They don't want to do that. They're up to it. It's a lot of, Jim's like, dude, this is a lot of math. I'm sorry. There are a lot of like derivatives and differential equations in today's show. It's very complicated. I was obviously an advanced math major in college. I'm kidding. I was a psychology major.
So that's what I hear on the radio. In my real life, I know that I just came back from Ivy League rehab and physical therapy. I was over in Port Washington on the 101. So I went past St. Francis on that campus. And lo and behold, I turn onto Northern Boulevard. Now, earlier in the week, when I first returned to Ivy and my normal path, I noticed there was in the Americana Manhasset, there was this new model that has this kind of whatever on her arms. And then almost like a Thomas Jefferson haircut for the pageantry, the one-time special, like make it like really pronounced, so I have a anchor of reality we both share in like something you'd never do on your own, but for our one meeting it really counts. There you are. There's some pageantry that matches. And it was London Watch on the opposite side of the flagpoles. And there were real specific flags between my special task force mark in like meeting with Ancestry at National Treasures, and then going straight through to London Watch. There was a specific set of flags on Tuesday. Today is Thursday. As I'm driving by, I'm just looking to salute, like not really salute my own flags, but just to make sure nothing changed over the last 2 days while yesterday was in the hospital and I'm having a HEMO reaction that I still can't get answers for. And I'm looking at the flags and the flags changed. Not all of them, but very specific patterns in the local landscape, and London Watch is no longer on one of the models. There's a very specific other model at the other end opposing my National Treasure Thomas Jefferson sister lookalike in what is going on. And I don't even know, like, 1, 2, Of course, I know the United States of America flag. That one I have down pat. That's the highest one flown. There's two flags I recognize. I don't recognize that flag. That looks like a flag, but I don't know if that's really the flag. Yeah, there's two flags that I know that I've learned that are flying with, I'm sorry. The United States of America flag is flying, so that's one. And then there's two flags on a lower rung on the patterns that are flying that I recognize just by sight, that I've learned. I don't know where. I don't know how I learned them. I don't know where I learned them, but by sight, I know what they are. Only 2 out of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out of the 8 lower flags, lower than the United States of America flag, I can only discern 2 out of the 8 that I've learned somehow. So that's my Americana Manhasset update right now. That's what was on the radio, so the locals know that whatever their trending conversation is. While I was in the hospital yesterday, they had on Ghostbusters, one of my favorite. I mean, like, I try not to pick favorite actors because I don't want to upset the entire apple cart, but like, if I'm allowed to have one Brady Bunch representative in some sports field, that I'm not idolizing him. I'm not. He's got stars that match. It's just one person, and he's got a higher seat at, like, he made it somewhere, and I am still trolling around having a problem in the real world. And I'm like, so I saw Chris Hemsworth. He's the Thor actor. That's how I remember him. He had this part which really makes me upset. Like, they make him seem like he's a dope, which I really don't like, but whatever on that. Like, he's just some kind of pretty thing from The Office. I really hate that whole interaction. I mean, like, whatever. I mean, like, the girls there are just wearing Daisy Dukes is what I feel like. It's just like, holy crow. Okay, so anyway, so that was on. So this morning on CBS, they had on this new television show called East New York, and there's this very Black Adams, because The Rock is doing Black Adams now. And I'm like, now, is that a Blackfoot reference? Like, I don't want to get in trouble, but someone once, just recently, and in my youth, which I didn't know that, are these trigger? Like, am I allowed to know this stuff? Like, again, I don't know what you guys attach to this stuff, but someone said Blackfoot, and that was an acceptable, respectable, like, I saw Dances with Wolves. I'm exempt from anything. They were off to the races before I got here. I'm just, like, trying to figure out. So anyhow, so I'm like, Black Adams, because that's not Samuel Adams, but again, in the how do you say nice, and he reminds me of JC28 from my real field work. I have to say, that's like The Rock, like his like awesome rockness of, I can't say he's a rock because he's not my ROC, but again, he's like, whatever, that was, somebody gave him that call sign as a peace treaty, and like maybe Blackfoot territory, again, like my Bija, my right hand, came home with a girl who says she's got a whole whatever, and she's got a Blackfoot, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so, like, I was trying to listen to her explain it in her next gen, and she really didn't go into it, and I didn't really ask, but I'm like, okay, so now we get there. They put up this morning Black Adams as a superhero, new whatever. He's been campaigning for 15 years to get himself that role. And then in some direction, they surfed a baby. He called it Jesus. I'm like, that is going to be fighting words in Vice and Virtue, because I've got a JC28 in the field. I didn't call him Jesus Christ. I just said he's JC28. I know what he looks like. And I got private operations going on in what keeps me safe in some kind of sort of, but I don't really know. I'm just gonna like hope like Brother Brady and like the rest of the bunch got some local stuff at the regional and global level between like National Treasure. So, I'm like, it feels like a wing and a prayer. I swear to God, that's what it feels like from my like one female perspective, in like they got everything in my personal life wrong. So now what do I do? Because I'm really being hurt and I don't know how this was allowed to transpire this way. So I'm sitting here. So they did Black Adams. Then they have this show East New York with a very like rock, perhaps descendant ancestry. Maybe they share like a whatever, a bloodline somehow in like some storyline. And then speaking to a pure blood of some other ancestry. And they're talking about a daisy wheel at their NYPD. They're dressed like captains and they've got collar brass and they seem like really important. He's got a white shirt on, which means like he's a boss of some kind over the other lady. And they're talking daisy wheel and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's like Daisy Dukes in front of like the whole audience. I'm again, like, what am I supposed to, like, coach, manager, ref? I don't know, caretaker, Thane? Yeah, there's a family tree somewhere. And, like, there's, like, real national treasures out on the field. I mean, not that my one national treasure has been really treasured by anything in the mail, whatever. I mean, the males around here have been really hostile. And they're like, oh, we're just here like you. Until all of a sudden I get taken down and anesthetized in the field for I don't know what, some kind of penalty. I'm like, I am not drinking through my nose or my mouth. That is not, like, if I am by myself, I'm dry. I'm dry all the time. If I get invited to an event and they require, like a comedy club requires drinks because that's what their social whatever is, and I don't want to have the slasher come into my house where I lay at night, I think it's okay, Brother Brady, if you could back me up on this. Whatever I do is whatever I do, because it doesn't happen often. But I don't know, when do I accept an invitation, when do I stay away from an invitation, because I don't want to wake up slashed again. And it's a little intimidating, not knowing what's creeping around your neighborhood and thinking the professionals got it, but going, I don't really know. Yeah, that's the kind of world my like children were born into, if anybody really cares, at the vault. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station. Actually, right now it's Port Washington, New York, 11040. And I don't know why they changed the flagpoles again, but I know it looks significant. I'm not going to say what's on the flagpoles. I'm not taking videos of what's on the flagpoles. I didn't take videos of what was on the flagpole before, when the London watch was up there. But now it changed again to some other model that again looks, I mean, she looks kind of like the model that they chose for whatever that St. John's thing was. That doesn't make any sense. Because which St. John's are you talking about? The Caribbean island I visited? Are you talking about the one on Crescent Street in my 95, 96 appearance? Or are you talking about by the fish hatchery where I grew up in the Episcopal Church on Sundays? Just curious. They're all called St. John's, same lettering, very different field view of what was there. And I have the answer to all of that.